And hello, everyone. Welcome to this Thursday evening talk at Mountain Cloud on June 3rd, 2021. As Peg said, in-person sitting began this week with up to 20 in the zendo, fully vaccinated, and hybrid. So open to the extended reach of Sangha that has grown and deepened during the 14 months of shutdown. Venturing back into shared spaces. What will thriving look like? What will practice look like in this shifting season when the virus is easing locally and still raging globally? I'm reminded of the great masters Baso and Sekito, who came of age in the mid-8th century China at a time of devastating upheaval, when war, social systems, famine, and disease led to the death of 2/3 of the population. They faced the question, what do we do now? We 1 in 3 who survived. We don't know yet what the calculus will be for us or for the planet in this early 3rd millennium. But the question is current. What do we do now? Last Thursday, Lewis Richmond, an ordained Soto priest and teacher in the lineage of Shunryu Suzuki, gave our Dharma talk on aging, illness, and loss. It's quite beautiful. He led us in a meditation at the end of the talk that focused on the word illness. I was touched by Lewis's talk, the example of his life and practice, and very much touched by the open responses from the Sangha. So forthcoming and vulnerable. Illness. Illness. What happens when we really face this? In those few moments of guided silence, facing maybe just the word, the sound, sitting started to show itself. Illness. That wall of sound and whatever substance we put there started to become more porous, transparent, insubstantial. A taste of facing life, or what Dogen calls life-death. One word, not the slightest gap. Another name for that is now. This very moment. Nothing but this. So tonight, I'd like to turn to a koan that addresses illness and addresses us with the heart of the matter. What is illness? What is your true self? This is case 87 in the Blue Cliff Record, Unmon's Medicine and Disease. Before reading the koan, just a quick word. Last week at our Zen Basics retreat, I gave a long talk about Unmon. So many koans we have from him, more than any other master in the tradition. Any one of them stands alone. This one, medicine and disease. It's all of it. If only this, enough. Medicine and disease. So I'll read the case just so we can hear it and maybe have it in mind. And then I'd like to take a look at Engo's instruction. Engo compiled the cases in the Blue Cliff Record and added an instruction or introduction to each case. The instructions, some of them quite poetic, point to the case. In this case, the world Unmon is presenting, medicine and disease. Let's see if we can taste it. The case. Unmon, instructing the assembly, said, medicine and disease cure each other. The whole earth is medicine. What is your true self? Medicine and disease cure each other. The whole earth is medicine. What is your true self? And here's Engo's introduction, his instruction. For the clear-eyed person, there are no holes to fall into. Sometimes on the summit of a lonely peak, the grass grows in profusion. Sometimes in the middle of the bustling marketplace, he is naked and exposed. Suddenly, the angry Nada reveals his 3 heads and 6 arms. Suddenly, sun-faced Buddha and moon-faced Buddha release their all-embracing, merciful light. the entire body is revealed in a speck of dust. Becoming ordinary people, one blends with mud and mixes with water. If one were suddenly to reveal the opening of the highest realization, even the eye of a Buddha could not see it. Even if 1,000 sages were to appear, they would have to retreat 3,000 miles. Is there anyone who has attained and realized to this state? To test, I cite this. Look. Look at this, says Engo. Look. Medicine and disease cure each other. The whole earth is medicine. So this is called an introduction, what Engo offers, but it's diving right in. For the clear-eyed person, there are no holes to fall into. This clear-eyed person pointing to Unmon and to the reality of this world, the real world. What if disease is not a hole, a flaw, a gap, a this as opposed to that? What if there are no holes? What about our aching sense of lack or aversion? What about delusion, the separation we suffer and defend? The implications of this case are vast. No holes, nowhere to fall in. One, gotta use the word, boundless seamlessness. One equality, one equanimity. Cannot fall in and cannot fall out. Even a hole, so to speak, is it. I was sitting with this, and this word whole, H-O-L-E, suddenly just morphed, like our exercise with Lewis, into whole, W-O-H-O-L-E. Each thing complete in itself. Pointing to the case. Another rendering of this line reads, the clear-eyed person has no nest, no single patch of land to stand on, no nest, no home, so at home everywhere. The whole earth is medicine. I'm suddenly wanting to ingest this computer. That's, such teaching. Sometimes on the summit of a lonely peak, the grass grows in profusion. This single peak, high or low, wherever you turn, it's you. The view, every direction. And the mountain itself, your body, wide and clear. And then there's the wonder of grass, a profusion of grass. Nothing at all. And yet, here we are. All this arising. This grass. Suddenly remember Ruben Habito speaking about another koan. It's all grass. It makes the saving work of Unmon possible. It makes our life possible. Even these gnarly concepts, these distractions, these obstructions, these challenges, it's all grass. And it is this saving work. So whole. Sometimes in the middle of the bustling marketplace, he is naked and exposed. This is Unmon, out in the world with all of its activity, naked and exposed, nothing to defend, bare and transparent, totally free, yet fully immersed in this bustling, infinitely diverse, and heartbreakingly broken world. Suddenly, the angry Nada reveals his 3 heads and 6 arms. Suddenly, sun-faced Buddha and moon-faced Buddha release their all-embracing, merciful light. Again, this is describing this world that is presented in this case, that is presented right here. Nada is a guardian deity in Buddhist lore that actually evokes a kind of bodhisattva, with these different arms and different faces. And then the bodhisattva activity, it takes any form. Suddenly great anger, suddenly all embracing mercy. Unmon wields whatever is fitting. Sun-faced Buddha, living 1,000 years. Moon-faced Buddha, 24 hours. 24-hour lifespan. Sun-faced Buddha, moon-faced Buddha. Baso's answer on his deathbed when asked, "How are you? How are you feeling?" Maybe another form of this question. What is your true self? The entire body is revealed in a speck of dust. What wonder. The whole world. Dogen calls it the true human body. All of it. In each and every bit of it. Not just revealed, that's it. Medicine, disease, clarity, grass, compassion, suffering. Each one of us here revealing the whole, and at the same time, unique. As Reuben sometimes says, warts and all. Not a hole to fall into. Becoming ordinary people, one blends with mud and mixes with water. Great Master Unmon. Completely ordinary. Just in the world. This mud, the lotus blossom, which is quite current this time of year. It needs muddy water to bloom. As Dogen puts it, Unmon is muddy and wet. From saving beings. How is that? How is he doing it? How is it functioning? If one were suddenly to reveal the opening of the highest realization, even the eye of a Buddha could not see it. This highest realization, the whole world is medicine. So high, it transcends everything. All our worry, our great concern for the world, our joy, our fallibility, transcends in that it is everything. Unmon's great revelation can't be seen. The one looking is it. Can't be grasped. No need to grasp. It's right here. Even if 1,000 sages were to appear, they would have to retreat 3,000 miles. This is that sense, this world that is so complete. It cannot be approached. I've heard the Roshi use this phrase so often, and it just fits it. This world, it occupies everything. You can't approach it. There's no space. And yet there's nothing but space. Nothing outside it. Engo points us to the case. Is there anyone who has attained and realized to this state? So sometime yesterday when I was well into sitting again with this koan and putting together a talk, I recalled, as we do sort of out of the blue, the Netherlands, that Henry gave a talk on this case. And I think it was the first talk of the shutdown. I think it might have been the first time that Mountain Cloud was on Zoom. And recalling that, the pieces of it started to surface. What is it that makes it possible for Unmon to say the whole earth is medicine? Or as Henry would say, medicine, sort of. I mean, Henry raised this question about being at home. As that talk welled up, it was just at home. The whole world is medicine. How can Unmon say this? What world is he seeing? So somehow it seems fitting and always reassuring that you cannot say the same thing twice. But it seems fitting to come back to this now in this turning time. Turning again. When the diseases, the dis-eases that beset us, dispose us to hear Unmon's teaching. With the eyes of this moment. So here again is the case. Unmon, instructing the assembly, said, medicine and disease cure each other. The whole earth is medicine. What is your true self? Unmon, Unmon, 864 to 949. His story is often told in part because of the sharpness of his awakening. His leg caught in the door of the Doksan room, that sense of earnestness, of urgency, and not being able perhaps to get out fast enough. And his teacher, Bokshu, slams the iron gate and it shatters. Not just Unmon's leg. Everything shattered. You don't have to break a leg. It's funny, my life as a musician, that was always what people would say, going on stage, break a leg. Took on a very different sense after coming into contact with Unmon. So it's not just, though, this total, gone. But then the years of practice that tilled that great opening into the soil of his teaching. Years and years of practice. And this phenomenal, generative creativity and generosity of his practice, so fierce and so compassionate and long-lived. I have always pictured Unmon, as just like with the stick. And Hakuin has a drawing of Unmon, centuries later, 18th century. Hakuin drew Unmon as an old man. And, here he is, sort of slightly hunched over, still quite robust. And there's just this kindness shining from his eyes and a little sheepish grin, maybe toothless, you can't really tell. But this sense of delight. Medicine and disease cure each other. Sometimes translated, medicine and disease correspond to one another, heal each other, or match each other. Cure seems very alive and to the point. Not only interdependent, utterly intermingled, whole, resolved. We are ever aware that in our common lives, how this operates, this keen sense of it, especially now. Vaccines that save lives. These antidotes that are often made of the very germs that can kill us. And who hasn't had an illness or a deep sense of brokenness that has opened the way to healing? That may have been the very thing that put our feet on this path. When that happens, we're so grateful. But is this Unmon's highest realization? The world he presents when it seems he quotes Master Hyakujo's teaching. Medicine and disease correspond to each other. Medicine and disease cure each other. And then Unmon adds, the whole earth is medicine. Unmon is not saying disease is good for us, or disease can act like medicine. There's no likeness here, no equation. not the slightest gap. The whole earth is medicine. We expect Unmon then to say, what is disease? Instead, he asks, what is your true self? What is your true self? The question swallows everything. Last week, I briefly mentioned, moved by the offerings of the Sangha, this experience from of old. When I was in my late 20s, I became ill with a life-threatening autoimmune disease. It was a year of just stopping everything and trying to stay alive. For 3 months, I was in the hospital receiving daily chemo and hooked up to a feeding line so my digestive system could rest. The inflammation took over muscles. So months later, as healing came, learning to walk again. I still remember the little step up into the house. I'd gone home to my parents' house. And the taste of a peach, a first bite of food, all the firsts. That disease was awful. And I can honestly say, I have the privilege of saying, it saved my life. If nothing else, to this day, really, every step, every breath, even every disappointment is an expression of gratitude. It's not like that's some virtue, it's just true. Still, as miraculous as it is to be alive, this experience did not bring me to Unmon's highest realization. Pain, fear, doubt, isolation. With the right conditions, these may lead to empathy for others or to lives of service. If we're lucky, they may drive us to find a path and commit to practice. But to be able to say in freedom, in ease, and confidence, the whole earth is medicine. That requires a leap, a release, a falling away. Dogen once called it now leaping beyond. In that same verse, he uses the word shattering all barriers, now leaping beyond. The good news is you are leaping into the wide, wide world exactly as it is. This world. Medicine and disease cure one another. The cure is large, inexhaustible, beyond any measure. As Henry put it, unconditional. No condition. No condition. The whole earth is medicine. Wipes out any separation. It's just not there. The whole earth is medicine. It just, and it resounds. Compassion and suffering match one another. Enlightenment and delusion heal one another. Form and emptiness cure one another. Life and death correspond, cure, heal one another. Such a profound wholeness. And it's natural. It's our native ground. It's given. Hakuin Zenji, who drew the old master Unmon so vividly, he wrote, "When you pass through the impenetrable, there is no lingering. The whole universe is your guts." There's no lingering. There's no time. The whole universe. Your guts, your arms, your legs, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, mind. The entire universe. What a world. This true human body. This body. And what a wonder to have the chance to practice. So grateful for this shared practice. Thank you.